So if we kind of bring it closer to developing our work staff, in
Yes.
our last episode, we talked about um, employee development and
Yes.
employee training. And there's a
Yes.
distinct difference between the two of development and training. So
Yes.
now
Yes.
we're looking at developing employees on a
Yes.
remote basis. And I'm
Yes.
kind of seeing a lot of things. I'm really kind of wondering where this remote developing is going to be going. Are we developing, going, interacting with others that are going to always be remote, and
Mm.
and we're all here
Yeah.
on site? Are we going to be interacting or developing others who are remote, and who are they going to be interacting with? Other people who are remote? I mean, the whole thing is a
Yes.
little convoluted to me, because
Yes.
we talked
Yes.
about the emotional intelligence of that development piece. And as you brought up, and sometimes that emotional intelligence has to have immediate feedback, right?
Yes.
Not when the Zoom call ends, or
Right.
or ends
Yes.
for
Yes.
all, or whatever call you're using, but kind of that immediate interaction,
Right. Right.
not the
Right.
next scheduled call.
Meeting. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, no, you raise a good point, because when we are only meeting at these very specific times, et cetera, you don't have that opportunity to come in and play off of somebody else's energy, for instance. So, we have our meeting, and I walk down the hallway at work and I go, and I come back and I say, I was thinking about this, and that person might have been thinking about that at that moment. And then we have this moment of synergy and creativity and collaboration
Mhm.
that happens outside of the actual meeting. But because we're in the physical space, it becomes possible. Now, when I talk about things like developing remote work staff, what I'm talking about is that remote staff has some distinct needs
Mhm.
apart from when you're working in the same building. They're similar, but with remote staff, it's even more critical. These ideas of developing their self awareness so that they know things like, how do they manage distraction? How do they manage energy when they aren't feeling it? Let's say they're an extrovert. What are you going to do? When you're not feeling the energy to get started. How do you set goals? How do you spark creativity
Mhm.
apart from being with your work colleagues and all of that? So much of this is going to require an enhanced sense of self-awareness, and that's really important for developing a remote work staff that's going to function optimally.
So, if I understand, it seems like what you're saying is that if you do have a development program
Yes.
for developing your employees,
Yep.
it
Yep.
has to be different for those who are on site as opposed to those who are off site. It's a different emotional intelligence. Do I understand?
Yeah, I think yeah, I think you can maybe lean in that direction. You can talk about, you have different needs, and you have to address them differently. So, for instance, at work, or excuse me, at home, you
Mhm.
might be looking at things like distraction management. How do you know when you're distracted in your home environment? Another big one, how do you know where your boundaries are? Because one of the things that has come out of this pandemic conversation is, people aren't commuting, obviously,
Right.
um, but they're working more than ever, and the boundary between home and work is starting to mix quite a bit. So,
Mhm.
people might find themselves flipping open their laptop at 8 o'clock at night or something like that. And sometimes that's an okay thing, maybe if you're a night owl or something like that. I mean, there's an exception to every principle I'm talking about.
Right.
But in general, these are the things that I would start looking at if I had a remote staff, which is, do they know how to manage the work, personal life dichotomy within their home? Have they given thought to a dedicated workspace? Have they given thought to how will they manage distractions? How will they manage moments when they don't feel terribly inspired to work? All of those types of things. What happens if you're extroverted and you don't see anybody all day long except for a couple of Zoom meetings?
Yeah,
Those are real questions.
Well, thanks for watching that last segment. So how can Temple Executive Coaching help you? Well, there's basically 4 ways. 1, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so that you know when we put out a new video. Number 2, we help you to create an effective strategy to help answer the most important strategic questions to give your organization an edge over your competition in your market. Number 3, we help to develop your leadership pipeline's mental fitness and their self-awareness so that they can execute on their most important objectives. And last, we help to strengthen your cash flow management and your financial position. Now, to learn more, set up an appointment. Email us at info@templeexecutivecoaching.com.